Reading again in the Gospel of Mark, King Herod heard about all this, for Jesus' name had become well known. Some were saying John the Baptist has been raised from the dead, and that is why miraculous powers are at work in him. Others said he is Elijah. Still others claimed he is a prophet, like one of the prophets of long ago. But when Herod heard this, he said, John, the man I beheaded, has been raised from the dead. For Herod himself had given orders to have John arrested, had him bound and put in prison. He did this because his brother Philip's wife, whom he had married, didn't like John. For John had been saying it was not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. Herodias was angry and wanted him dead. But she was unable to do that because Herod feared John and protected him, knowing that he was a righteous and holy man. When Herod heard John, he was greatly puzzled, but he liked to listen to him. Finally, the time came. Herod gave a banquet for his birthday with high officials and military commanders and all the leaders of Galilee. And when the daughter of Herodias came to dance, she pleased Herod and his dinner guests. And Herod said, ask me for anything you want, I'll give it to you, up to half of my kingdom. So she went to her mother and said, what shall I ask? And she said, I want you to give the head of John the Baptist on a tray. And the king was distressed, but he had promised. So he had it done. John's disciples came and took his body. The word from the Lord in the house of the Lord. Gary mentioned that in the bulletin there's a lot of long-term marriages, 49 and 59, and seem to be eternally, not quite, but eternally. But Herod had married his sister-in-law, which even in those times was not considered really very kosher. When we read the scriptures as we did these today, the problem is sometimes to connect the messages. A bigger problem some days is, why in the world is this in the Bible? What good does it do? But the message for today, it comes through in all of them. David celebrated bringing home the ark of God. It had been in captivity in Babylon for all those years, and he was bringing it home. But he didn't even have a temple for it. He had to build a tent in which to house it. And this was a sacred journey because one other time the Jews had hauled the ark on the wagon after God had said, you will carry my ark home. He made it clear to the Israelites, you will carry my ark home. And they put it on the wagon and hauled it. And upon arriving, the wagon master died. God's directions oftentimes are very explicit, and we want to interpret them any way we possibly can. John was interpreting God's instructions to Herod that you shouldn't have married your sister-in-law. It's not the thing to be done. And he didn't seem to mind much, but his wife sure did. She hated John with a passion that was beyond belief. And sometimes we get caught up in those kinds of feelings, just as Herodias had, that this person is persecuting me, that I'm the one who's the target of every evil in the world because you people are doing it to me. Maybe you've never been in that situation. I remember back in high school when we went to football practice, and we had a kid who played in for us who liked to smoke. Now, this is old time. I mean, this is way back, so he was smoking cigarettes. We hadn't found out about the funny things yet. And the coach knew he smoked. And he didn't even bother to try to catch him smoking. He just, every time this kid dropped a pass, run a lap, run a lap, run a lap. By the end of practice, he was wishing he wasn't smoking. And he thought, the coach has it in for me. No, the coach is trying to teach you a lesson. And that's how simple it is when we sometimes look at these passages in the Bible that look like they have nothing to do with God and nothing to do with our religious preferences and nothing to do with saving grace. And yet, they're the same kind of messages the coach had for Kent Lincoln. I still remember that kid's name. And as soon as he got out of practice, he lit a cigarette. We don't learn well, do we? The messages and the lessons that God tries to teach us are tough for us to take home with us. John the Baptist said, Herod, you shouldn't have done it. And he let his mortal mind run away with him. He let his passions overcome his good sense when he promised Salome that he would give her anything she wanted up to half the kingdom. And there he was, trapped. How often do we make promises, or worse yet, how often do we make threats in front of people so that when the time comes we have to follow through, even though it makes us even more foolish than when we made the dumb threat. Oh, but I did it in public, so I can't back down now. Nobody will respect me if I back down now. People will respect us if we prove that we trust God with everything in our lives. People respect us if we respect people. People will respect us if we respect ourselves. And if you need to eat your words, just take a lot of ketchup. Because they don't taste good going back in after they've come out. The messages are about God's presence in everything that we do. Even though it seems like there's no place for God in the beheading of John. Obviously God wouldn't have, I don't think God wanted that to happen. But if you're a predestination believer, it was going to happen. Those are the, if you believe in predestination, it means everything that happens was going to happen regardless of what you did. Kind of like the guy who was going down the cellar steps and hit his head on the beam. And his friend said, I'll bet you're glad that's over with. We have to trust God's word that has come to us. But it isn't always exactly the form that we saw it or that we read it in the first place. Sometimes we have to figure out what it is that God wants us to understand out of the story. What is the message he wants us to have? Obviously, I'm not going to marry my sister-in-law. I promise. I ain't going to do that. I learned that much, see? That's not what the message is. The message is that we cannot tempt God and not follow through. Herod said, I will give you anything you want. And he did it in front of powerful people. And he was no longer in charge. God asked us to let him be in charge. God asked us to let him be the one who focuses our words, focuses our thoughts, focuses our activities, and not some other power. A wife stood up at a concert and applauded and shouted for an encore and probably made a fool of myself a time or two. But I can point to a lot of others who did also. So I'm not alone in that category. But I've also made a fool of myself for God a few times. And I'll never apologize for that. I'll never tell anyone I wish I hadn't done that. For if I make a fool of myself for God, he will make me the king of fools. He will make me his own fool. He will make me special. John was special, and Herod was afraid to do anything about John because he knew John was special. all you wives that pick on your husbands. Eve got the blame. Herodias is not going to get the blame. The wife always gets the blame. No, that woman did it. You know, there's a lot of that in the Bible stories because men wrote the book. That woman. Although we let you. We let you because you're smarter than we are. You also use twice as many words every day as we do. Because that's because you got to repeat everything. Because we weren't listening in the first place. John the Baptist spoke words of truth. John the Baptist constantly brought the message that Christ was on his way. And even this terrible act by Herod, even this interruption in John's life, none of that changed the message. The same message that David brought when he danced his way into Jerusalem with the ark. The same message that Paul sent to the church at Ephesus. That God's grace is about us. God's grace is with us. God's grace supports us. God's grace is what we need. And we have to commit ourselves to that and not to our own ego building, chest thumping that we sometimes do. John the Baptist died to bring the message of Christ coming. He was successful. Herod brought a message of debauchery and sin, and he was unsuccessful. So pin your hopes on the winner. Back the guy, back the personage, back to Christ that controls your destiny. The amazing grace of the love of Christ. Amen. We're going to sing Blessed Assurance as our closing hymn as we do stand and join.